Hey everyone, sorry we're late, but we have a special treat for you guys. Super duper excited. Thank you, Tiffany.
Hey everyone, sorry we're
If you guys want, you can, if you want to be able for me to see you, go to http://chat.restream.io/Facebook if you want me to be able to see what you are posting. Otherwise, I'm going to see it like this. It's just going to say Facebook user, which is fine. So like I said, we have a really special treat for you guys today. So let me go ahead and do our normal intro, and then we will get ready to rock and roll. Thank you for your patience. Hello, and welcome to this week's Grow Wealthy Grooming. My name is Riverly, and I am the founder of the Savvy Groomer, where I teach pet groomers to go from being burnt out, broken, to healthy, wealthy, and happy, building a grooming business on their terms. So today's episode is sponsored by the Employee Pay Masterclass. Yay! And this is a 6-module masterclass where we teach you guys all about paying your employees legally. Okay. And to be honest, guys, paying 50% is bullshit. We here at the Savvy Groomer have cracked the code at paying employees a livable wage that they're happy with and creating sustainable profit for pet grooming business owners. You know, we're going to introduce the Employee Pay Masterclass, a 6-module exploration on how to pay legal W-2 employees specifically designed for pet grooming businesses. We're going to be busting myths while teaching you skills and winning formulas so that you can create a pay structure that actually works. So let's go ahead and get rocking and rolling. I have a cat who wants my lap, but just wants to want it. I'm like, come on. But he's going to do what he's going to do, and that's okay. So today we are going to be talking about, is hourly commission or booth rental the best way to pay? Now, I understand today might be a little controversial, right? Some of you guys might not be super happy with me. I'm going to go ahead and put this to the side so I can see your comments as they're coming in. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. And I have, we're going to be sharing. Boop, 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 boop. Well, if you're coming up, come up. Let's go. I got a show to do. Thank you. Okay. So let's go ahead and get cracking into this. So just so you guys know, we're going to understand the best way to do this. So in the Employee Pay Masterclass, in Module 1, Lesson 3, we actually break down in more depth about booth rental, but we're going to give you guys some quick overview, okay? So booth rental can be a really tricky subject. It's rarely done correctly in the grooming or the beauty industry, okay? So is booth renting legal then? If the booth renter is a true renter and not a misclassified employee, it may be legal. But if the booth renter is actually a misclassified employee, the business owner could incur IRS fines and fees. Now, everyone's tolerance level is different, but I personally don't believe it's worth it to be wrong, okay? So let's look at an example. So in this instance, we have, why is business owner number 1, booth rental illegal? So let's say we have a business owner who wants the groomer to operate their own business within the grooming salon owner's salon, right? Why is it illegal? Well, we're going to apply what's called the 20-factor test, okay? And again, in the Pay Masterclass, we talk way more about this. But in this, business owner 1 fails the test due to the integration factor, right? A business cannot operate a like business within itself. So the groomer renting a table is offering services that are already integrated into the salon owner services. Therefore, this person is not actually a legal renter. They can't do that. And again, all of this stuff with the IRS is federal. So it's really important that we deal with that. Okay, so let's go ahead and move to example number 2. So we have here, right? Business owner number 2 wants the groomer to groom the business owner's clients, right? That should seem fairly straightforward, right? Well, the groomer must operate their table independently from the grooming salon from whom they are renting the table from. So in this example, again, they're integrating their business, right? They really need to be completely separate, standalone businesses. And there are limited scenarios where booth rentals are done right. For instance, an independent groomer working inside a veterinary practice, right? This works because the vet office has different services than the groomer. But again, the vet office can let people know of the business. However, they cannot share clients. They cannot say, okay, I'm going to the veterinary office and then I'm going to go into the groomer, right? They cannot be integrated. They need to be completely separate. And sometimes it's not 100% illegal. It's just more of gray. And that grayness can really create a problem because, again, if it's gray, are you willing to take the repercussions of those situations, right? And again, if the booth renter is a true renter and not a misclassified employee, it can happen. But again, what is your tolerance level? Mine's pretty slim to none. I don't want the IRS paying any attention to me, right? Let's talk about the ugly truth in grooming. It is so rare for the grooming industry to get booth rentals right. Oftentimes, a landlord who is renting the table, right, or the section, right, asks for 50% of your sales to, pretending like that's rent. At that point, you are an employee of the business and you're not an owner or a renter, right? Here's a way to think about it. If I'm an independent contractor or a renter, it's pretty much like renting a space in a plaza. I want you to think about if you guys have ever seen a storefront with like 3 or 4 other storefronts, right? Imagine your landlord says you, the renter, are going to charge prices I, the landlord, suggest because I think that would be fair. Then I'm going to ask you to pay 50% of what your money earns in your business to me for rent. That doesn't make any sense, right? It makes 0 sense. So someone just said some states don't allow booth renting, like New Jersey. Even if your state does or does not allow you to do booth renting, the truth is federally, it's almost impossible to do it legally. Most of us do not have a business set up in a way that it makes any sense at all, right? There's so much here. Again, if you're going to have a landlord ask for a percentage, it's not legal. And even then, right? You might be like, it's a huge risk if you're wrong. And it's up to you to decide if you want that. But long story short, again, if I have all of the responsibilities of a landlord in a plaza, most of the ways that we are integrating into it is completely illegal. And again, I have so much more juicy things and examples. We literally spend an entire module. We have like 20 minutes just on booth rentals and why they don't work in the grooming industry. So is that the best way to do it? No. So if you were hoping, yes, someone's going to tell me that booth renting is the best way to pay grooming employees or pay groomers, the answer is no. The majority of the industry, and by majority, I mean like 99.9% of us, are never going to get booth rental right. We're going to put ourselves in harm's way. We're going to have misclassified employees. And the government is looking for money. And if you're not careful, you'll be caught in the crossfires. Melissa's saying certain states have laws regarding pet groomers' wages and pay. Absolutely. And of course, guys, I'm talking federally. I'm not talking state to state. And you need to have access to someone who you can help you in your individual location, state. Different counties have different laws. So you need to be very aware of what is going on. So guys, in the pay module 1, lesson 4, we have more employee factors, okay? So here we talk about things like pay methods and classifications, okay? So what do we talk about? Because again, depending upon how employees are paid, they can be put into 2 different categories, exempt and non-exempt. This is also something I never hear us talk about in the grooming industry. I almost never hear anyone say, yes, I am exempt from overtime, or no, I have to pay this employee overtime. So here are the common methods we talk about for pay. We have hourly, which is an hourly employee is an employee who's paid for the actual hours they work. Makes sense. Commission. Now, this is commission only employees are paid based on the revenue they bring into the business. Makes sense. Salary. A salaried employee is considered an exempt employee is someone who receives a fixed amount of pay, a salary, regardless of how many hours they work each week. Now, we know, right, that commission-only employees are paid based on the revenue that they're bringing into the business, right? And we know that all employees should not cost us more than 30% of our gross profit, okay? So here's your problem with your commission-exempt employees, right? They have to be 75% of gross sales in your business must come from commission-only services. That's a really important key factor that no one talks about in the industry. That means that, and let's be clear, commission-only services are services that are paid commission only. So my cat fell off his desk, it's fine. So if you have a business right now where your groomers, now I'm not saying 70% of gross sales has to be paid in commissions, but these are a situation where you have to 70%, so you can't have more than 25% of other services, not retail. You can't have 25% or more of dog training, dog daycare, boarding, etc. Right? And there is no overtime if they reach this requirement, which is fine. The employee has to get 50% or more of their income from commission. This is not to be confused with 50% commission. The employee must earn a minimum of 1.5 times state and federal minimum wage. So you still have to track your hours, and you have to make sure that whatever is higher state or federal minimum wage, that they are making at least 1.5 times state or federal minimum wage. So basically they have to make at least time and a half. Okay. And you still have to track these hours. So here's the thing. We have a user here who's talking about a salary. Now we are going to talk more about salary in a minute and why it's, you can do it for you, but technically you're not allowed to have a salaried groomer. So again, with these commission exempt employee stipulations, 75% of gross sales for the business must come from commission only services. So you'd be like, what does that mean? That means that your grooming must be commission only services. So no more than 25% of self dog washes, right? Retail, boarding, all these other services. And even then, if your bathers are paid hourly, right? And that service, that bathing service, again, is more than 25% of your overall business sales. Technically, you cannot have commission employees who are not paid time and a half. So that means they would get, if you're paying 50%, that means you get 50% plus time and a half, if any hours they work over 40 hours, right? And even then, your employee must be getting at least 50% or more of their income from commission. So you can't do, okay, they're going to make hourly for these things, like for 75%, and then they're going to be commission exempt for the others. Doesn't work that way. And again, your employee must make at least 1.5 times whatever is higher, state or federal minimum wage. And that's really important because a lot of times what happens is people are like, oh, I pay them 50%, but sometimes I win, sometimes they win. No, right? Sometimes I win, sometimes I lose. No, they have to make at least 1.5 times minimum wage. So if your minimum wage right now is $10 an hour, they have to be making at least $15 an hour, even if no one shows up, right? So you have to calculate how many hours they worked, take that time and a half, and you need to calculate that every pay period to make sure that in order to commission them out, right? And that means if they work 50 hours, they have to be able to work 50 hours at 1.5 times whatever your minimum wage is. And for some of you guys, that means that you're going to be paying them a lot more than you would have if you just made an even amount and paid them out an hourly rate. So salary exempt. So We can talk, of course, about salary with overtime, but I can't imagine any of us would ever hire an employee who both gets salary and gets paid overtime. The whole point of paying someone salary is like, listen, sometimes you're going to work 32 hours and this is how much I've allocated towards your pay. And sometimes you're going to be working 45 hours, but it all kind of works out in the end, right? That's the whole point of salary, right? It's very rare that you would want to pay someone, whether they work 32 hours or 40 hours, and then you still want to pay them overtime. But honestly, the biggest reason that salary is not legal federally is because in order for an employee to be salary exempt, they must be paid a salary above a certain level and only work in an administrative as in a non-manual type role. And that's a big problem in the grooming industry. Most of us do not have many non-manual labor roles in the grooming industry. I mean, I really want you to consider what role, even if you have a receptionist, you're probably saying, hey, when it slows down, I really need you to hop in and help bathe and blow dry dogs. It has to be 20% or less physical manual labor. So if I have a grooming salon manager who is salary exempt, which means they're salary and they don't have to pay overtime, right? They can't do more than 20% manual labor. Why is that so important? It's so important because a lot of times if you offered a salary grooming role, you don't get paid overtime and you're doing a physical labor role. Well, you're a misclassified employee, unfortunately, right? And that's really important for us as a grooming industry to understand. And this is federal. I only talk about federal because every state is different, but no matter what, even if your state allows something, it doesn't matter. The federal is the most important. So groomers beware, fine and penalties can vary in error, even if your business is inherited, if it is, if you buy a business as what's called a going concern, which means you buy the entirety of the business as an entity, and for whatever reason, they're hiring illegal employees. If they're like, oh yeah, my grooming salon manager who grooms full time is salaried and I don't pay them overtime. Well, you could then be liable to pay all of that back taxes and all those back wages, right? It costs so much money for us to build our business and you've worked so hard. I don't want you to get tripped up on how to pay your employees. It's so important that you do it well and you structure it. Okay. Now, in module 6, we actually talk more about different types of bonuses. Okay. So in this, we talk about how an hourly employee is an employee who is paid for the actual hours worked, right? And the hourly really encourages more of a team mindset. There are constant predictable payroll costs, or at least it's consistent predictable paychecks on the employee's end, right? Especially where these employees need to be able to prove income, to be able to buy a house, get an apartment, build a life, right? We want these employees to build lives, right? Well, that's where we personally like to look at bonuses, right? And again, bonuses are meant to complement an employee's base pay, their hourly wage, right? And why do businesses use bonuses? Well, to reward for those who are productive and hit above their goals, to show gratitude to loyal long-term employees and to entice potential employees, right? Ultimately, bonuses with an hourly wage is the safest, most effective way to pay people. Although I understand the grooming industry, we need a lot of work. I recently had a student tell me that she was like, I don't know many people that are paid legally. And I think that's pretty accurate. The majority of us are not legally paying employees, or we're getting advice that is really poorly explained. So I like hourly with a production bonus. So production bonuses are monetary rewards outside of a professional's usual pay or salary that they received after meeting or exceeding certain performance expectations, right? And we believe that paying hourly with a production bonus, and again, we believe it based on a point system, is the best way to do it. So you might be like, okay, well, what is a point system? Well, we're actually teaching that tomorrow in the pricing and points workshop. And that is going to be taught in the Savvy Groomer membership, live in the group mentorship. And we will, of course, have the updated workshop in the business workshop library. So if those are things you're interested in learning more about what's pricing and points, we also have a bunch of these videos. on our YouTube channel you can check out. I really like this class. Again, we're going to teach you all about points. So, what is the GPS, right? So, the Savvy Groomer point system will transform your business. What it does is it helps you organize all of these things, okay? So, basically, 1 point is 1 unit of effort. For some of you guys, it's going to be 30 minutes worth of work. For some of you guys, it might be an hour's worth of work. It really does depend. And so the best way I explain it to you guys is I make an average Shih Tzu, let's say either a 5 strip, or if you like them a little bit fluffier, like a 1/2 inch on the body, round teddy bear face, nothing fancy. Easygoing dog, fairly good health. That's going to be a 2-point dog. 1 point will go for the haircut, and the other point will go for the bath, blow dry, nail clipping, ear cleaning, and prepping of the dog, right? Blow drying, all that. So we have 1 point for the bather and 1 point for the groomer. And so those 2 points makes one Shih Tzu 2 points. If the average groomer is grooming 5 Shih Tzus a day, they're a 10-point groomer. Why is this important? Because if I base my hourly on things like the point system, then I can then take that money, right? And if they do more points, I can get them a production bonus fairly easily, right? And that really, really helps. And then in module 3, lesson 2, we start talking about these, what we call employee tiers. So the way we explain it is essentially the way we break up our hourly employees is based on roles and tiers. And again, those are based on things like points. So we have our bather A, right? And they're just learning how to bathe. And then bather B, they're a solid bather. They know how to bathe probably 2 to 4 dogs an hour. Now, if bather B wants to learn how to do face, feet, standies, I'm going to promote them across to grooming assistant tier A, right? And then from there, right, they're going to learn how to do face, feet, standies and get competent. I'm going to hire them. I'm going to promote them to grooming assistant tier B. Now, at grooming assistant tier B, they might start learning outline trims. They might start learning how to, again, shape certain things. And I'm like, you know what? You're ready to be then promoted to groomer tier A. That would be our baby groomer, our green groomer, right? Our journeyman groomer, whatever you want to call it, right? And then groomer tier B is our technician groomer. They know how to do basic haircuts. And then you would either create a new role, your pet stylist, and then have their own tiers, or maybe groomer tier C. For some of you guys, groomer tier C would be a power groomer and they're grooming a lot of dogs and they're getting a higher hourly because they are grooming more dogs, right? And again, this is what we teach you guys in the employee pay masterclass. We teach you how to produce this and create this. And I think that's so important because a lot of us are not considering how we want to set up the roles and tiers in our business, how to pay people, how to promote them, and honestly, how to demote them. If I have a groomer who is not producing what I want to, normally you guys are just firing them. Instead of firing them, what if we just demoted them? What if I had a groomer who is just not living up to what I need them to, and I need to fix their grooming skills? Maybe we have to double check all their dogs. I can demote them to groomer tier A and say, listen, your dogs are not where they need to be skill-wise. I'm going to demote you to groomer tier A. You're going to get less hourly. However, once your skill set is up, we will have during your review and you might be able to be promoted. It's a lot easier. Or if I have a groomer tier B who's getting really burned out, I can demote them. I can say, listen, you're really burnt out. We're going to bring you down to, maybe bather tier C. You're just going to be a bather for a couple of months and, just do that. Just relax. Just focus on what you need to do to love, fall back in love with the dogs, right? Or fall back in love with the cats, whatever. But it allows you to do all of that. And that's really important because, again, in this industry, we're not talking about exempt and non-exempt. We're not talking about how to promote and demote people in a way for their mental health, for their physical health, right? We need to have a wholly different conversation in this industry. So guys, I just want to say you've got this, right? Whether you're going to choose, I highly suggest you don't choose booth renter, but if you're going to do what you're going to do, I'm here for you anyway. Commission. And again, there's so many reasons not to do commission. If I have to pay you overtime or I've got to pay you at least 1.5 times minimum wage, I might as well give you an hourly wage that you can then, look at and be able to express when you're trying to buy a house or trying to rent a place, right? And that's where I really believe hourly plus production bonuses is your best bet. Again, we're going to be teaching in this quarters of, group mentoring. We're going to be teaching the employee pay masterclass. We have, if you guys want to consider the self-study, you're more than welcome to. We taught that with attorney Jim Atchison, and he's an incredibly talented attorney who is a partner in a firm that serves all 50 states. We were really blessed the last go around to have him teach it with me, and he helped create it. And I am so grateful to have an attorney to help us create this, because again, people come to him when they didn't listen to him, and now they have hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of back taxes and fines for things that they didn't need to. Okay, if you guys are interested in learning more about the Pay Masterclass, be sure to visit it at savvygroomer.com/PGMC. And again, it's a 6-module masterclass where we teach you all about how to pay your employees. If you guys are interested in coming into the fold and joining group mentorship, I highly suggest it. This month, we are teaching the workshop Pricing and Points, where we're going to teach you how to create your own point system. This quarter, we're also going to be teaching the Employee Pay Masterclass, where we are actually going to teach you how to create an hourly wage that's a livable wage, how to create tiers and roles, and how to create and calculate a production bonus based on the point system. And then we also have a bonus workshop in the month of June, where we're going to teach you guys how to switch employees from commission to hourly, not just legally, but we're also going to help you create scripts. And obviously that's going to be based upon a federal, not a state to state. But we do have resources if you want to reach out to an attorney, like I said, who has resources in all 50 states. So guys, we'd love to see you in group mentoring. That's really where I love to do all of that. I love being able to coach you guys and support you there. So I am going to turn it over to see if you guys have any questions. I'm so happy that we were able to, teach you guys something, right? It's absolutely wonderful. I'm actually going to go ahead and turn this off. Boop, boop. Yay. For those of you guys that are here live with me on YouTube, live with me on Facebook, I just really appreciate you being here. It's always fun to be here live and get to talk to all of you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and hop out of here and go hop into my group mentoring, because they actually get the live Q&A and they get to ask those nitty-gritty questions. So I really appreciate you all being here. Again, this was all about, is hourly, commission, or booth rental the best way to pay, right? Thank you guys so much for joining me on this episode of Grow Wealthy Grooming. As always, be sure to visit me at savvygroomer.com to see my current opportunities to work with me in growing your pet grooming business. Plus, so many free resources for you to learn. And guys, as always, you can see me in my free Facebook community, Savvy Pet Professionals. So as usual, guys, happy grooming.